So the biggest question that people have been asking constantly is, are the Kumam Luo or Ateker? So the last
we are Luo. We are under Luo more than any other clan. We have been using a Luo Bible. And we have been using a Luo prayer book.
Questions need answers, and answers need credible sources. Sitting right here with one of the most credible sources about the Kumam history. My name is Kogot Peter Luo, Ambassador, Eastern Central Africa, and I'm here with
Reverend Elijah Eimu, the son of the Kumam, coming from the culture called Irarakme Inomu. And I am a retiring priest, but now a cultural leader, and in the Kumam cultural heritage, I am the Minister of Culture, Ethics, and Integrity. I want to thank my brother who has come to know about the Kumam, and I'm here to let the world know about the Kumam. Thank you.
What is Kumam?
Kumam is a culture which has originated from the group of the Nilohamites, and we are people who have the dialect which is between the Luo and Iteso, because some of the words are connected to Iteso words, some of the words are connected to Luo, and therefore we speak a unique language which is Luo, but in a special way. When we speak, the Luo can understand us. When we speak, the Iteso can sometimes pick some of our words. And we come all the way from where the Luo originated, and we have the detailed history about our coming. If you like, I could be able to let you know it.
Okay, before we get to that, the word Kumam, what does it mean?
The word Kumam means the people who have walked a long way and now are seated. They are actually exhausted, they are tired, and they don't sit freely. They sit like a tired person whom you can find sitting like this, wondering where he is going to end and wondering what he should do to make him or her settle. So it comes from the word kumo. Kumo means a kind of sorrow. Kumo. You are not feeling free, and you feel exhausted in your life.
Okay.
That is the word kumam. Kumam, kumo, comes from that word kumo in Luo.
The Luo of Kenya and Tanzania, I'm sure you completely understand the word kumo to mean some form of tiredness or sorrow, or in being sitting in that position, the kumo, like that.
So the Kumam are people who remained almost at the center and didn't have help from either sides, either from the Lango or from the Iteso. And so they had to forge their way out and form their own culture, which is now called Kumam, the people who have struggled with the pain and sorrow to settle. And for your information, Kumam has now of late been recognized and known by the world. But Kumam has all along wandered, and many people didn't know that Kumam has been existing. I am sure even the person near me didn't know anything about Kumam. But here we are.
Here we are.
We are just at the center, and many people had ignored us. But I'm happy we are now up, and we have our own culture with everything in full.
And I'm happy you're here because you will tell me about Kumam.
I will definitely.
I didn't know about Kumam.
Yes.
Now I know a little bit about Kumam, but at the end of this interview, we'll know.
Yeah,
so
I'm
Kumam.
an elderly person. I have stayed in the world for almost 60 years now, and I know many things, and I will let you know much about Kumam.
Yes, before coming here, I'm in Kabermaido. I was in Tororo, where Jopadola live.
Yeah.
And I had a version of Jopadola concerning Kumam And in their version, they mean during the Luo migration, there was a Luo leader who was the brother of Adola called Okumu.
Yes.
Okumu. And then Okumu, around this region, Okumu met a Teso woman and married. So because of this woman, Okumu remained behind as the other Luo, like Adola and Owin, proceeded down south. And when they came later on to ask, where is Okumu? The people said, Okumu Mam, which means Okumu is not there. And according to their version, the version of Jopadola, Kumam comes from the two words Okumu and Mam, which is not there. So to them, they refer to Kumam as Jopokumu, or the Law of Kenya would say Jokokumu. So is this the true version of?
It can be connected to that in such a way that, as you have said, Okumu Mam is a mother in other languages. But when you say Mam in Ateso, means not there. And so that is why I was telling you, we call ourselves people who lacked parental care. And so we were a bit sorrowful in the way we were getting to settle as a clan or as a culture. And so Okumu Mam, if Okumu really was the original ancestor of the Kumam, I wouldn't dispute that.
Okay, so we have two possible versions hanging.
Yes.
Could you take me through the migration of Kumam, from where they came from to where they are today?
I had a kind of research which I did, and I had put it in writing. Will you allow me to read?
Sure, go ahead.
The way I wrote it?
Okay.
I said the historical background of the Kumam cultural heritage. The Kumam belong to the family called Atekerin. Atekerin is a family of Atekerin which includes Langi, Iteso, Karamojong. Those three clans, they form what is called Atekerin. That means the cultures or the clans which have joined together and started the mission or the journey together. So for us, we belong to that family of the Langi, Iteso, and Karimojong. This group of people are referred to as the Nilohamites. And the Kumam lived in the western part of Teso sub-region, as other Luo clans may know them, and which was also the southern part of Lango sub-region. The western part of Teso sub-region and the southern part of, that is where we are established. And this is a place which is called Kaberamaido. Kaberamaido here means this land where the Kumam have settled. The Kumam ancestors found when they started agriculture here, both as Nilohamites, they kept animals and also they practiced agriculture. And one of the crops which did so well here was granuts, gnuts, which is maido. And you will find in this word, a bear means good, and maido is gnuts. And maido comes from the word maido in Ateso, a maido. So they were, in other words, saying, granites are so good here. They are doing so
this
well.
This is a good place for
This is a good place for granites. That's why it is called Kaberamaido.
Kaber.
Maido, bear, tutwal, maido, timuma, bear, can.
I'm sure the Luo of Kenya, you understood that 100%, but the question is, how do you call groundnuts in Luo? But don't say njugu because that is Swahili.
Yes, so that is how we call it. And so, as I've said, the Kumam lived in those regions. And in Teso sub-region, the Kumam are found in counties of Soroti, Kalaki, Serere, and Kaberamaido. And when you go in Lango sub-region, The Kumam are found in Kyoga County, Molatar District, and Dokolo districts, those areas. We are found in those places. And also we are at the diaspora. We can be found even in Busoga, even in Buganda, as people kept on moving. Because the Kumam were also, as they kept cattle, sometimes they were also selling cattle, taking cattle to Buganda. Now we have a lake here, and our lake had a ferry whereby people who used to trade from Kumam land to Buganda land. And so they took animals there. And some of them, when they got rich, they claimed land. They bought land in Buganda. Most of our elders, by the way, lived in Buganda. And that is why most of them even spoke Luganda very well. Even in our churches, even in our cultures, we had people who spoke Luganda very well when they had to return home.
Yeah, but I have a question.
Yes.
The Luo, we think that we came from South Sudan in a place called Bar El Gazelle and started migrating south. Do the Kumam share the same migration history, or do they believe they came from somewhere else?
No, the Kumam believe, as we say today, the Kumam can be traced in some regions such as Busoga, like I've told you, and Buganda, although Kumam language has almost a dialect which is Luo. I'm reading now what I started by telling you.
Okay.
Which is not, but it is not Luo. They are Kumam. The Kumam can share the sentences in Ateso, but they are not Ateso. They are Kumam. So the history has it that the Kumam came from the northeastern part of Ethiopia. Northeastern part of Ethiopia. Coming with that group of the Langi, Iteso, and Karamojong, you will get to understand this, that these people got divided. And this was around AD 1600. It is believed that the Kumam originated from the people originally known as Iteso speakers around Ethiopia, this northeastern part of Ethiopia. And later, they also learned Luo. So it is asserted that due to contact with the Luo-speaking people or group from around Mount Otuke, when they entered Uganda from Ethiopia, from northern Uganda to Karamoja, and then they joined the Langi. They met at Otuke, Mount Otuke, which is in Lango, in Lango sub-region. And then Wila, there is also Wila in Karamoja sub-region. So they settled along those places, and that is how they started to move. The Iteso in Kumam are called Jodum, or Doma. Joadoma. I don't know the Luo in Kenya call the Iteso in Kenya, but culturally we call, because for us here, the Bantu, we call them Imo. And then the Iteso, we call them Jodum. And then the Langi, we call them Imiro. So we have our own dialect, which is quite unique. So it is, the Kumam claim that their original name was Leno. Like you were saying, somebody was saying Okumu, but for them they say their original name was called Leno before they became Kumam. Leno originates from Atekerin, from among the clans which were joined together. Leno came out of them to form Kumam. So this could be evidenced by such phrases in their local communication, such as Leno is a word which was now changed to be Lango or Langi. Because for us here, when you are following the local path, this is a local path which you can, they can open in the bush for going maybe to hunt.
Footpaths.
You know those paths?
Yes, footpaths.
We call them Yolango.
Oh, we just call them Yo.
But we say Yolango. Yolango, because Lango is believed to be very original. So it is original path, a cultural path. So Yolango, Palalango, Kwerulango, and so on. We have them. We have Yatlango. You see, these drugs which are herbal drugs.
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
call them yatlango.
Oh.
We do not these ones they use in the hospitals and so those ones are different.
Traditional
Our traditional herbal drugs are called yatlango in Kumam. So you will find that this one gives us a good understanding that the Karamojong are familiar with the word Ngikumama. Ngikumama, which is referred to Kumam, Iteso, and Langi. The Karamojong call all of us Ngikumama. Ngikumama, because it is believed that when these people moved from Ethiopia and reached northern Uganda, the northern part of Uganda, which is in Karamoja, that part of Karamoja, when they reached there, the word Karamojong means an elder became tired and was no longer able to walk. Ngakar Kimojong. Mojong is an elder. Akarikim, that means he has become so tired that he is no longer able to walk. So the Karamojong remained at the peak of the northern part of Uganda where Karamoja is. And then the Iteso and the Kumam proceeded. But when the Iteso proceeded, the Iteso, according to the Karamojong, says, you people, you are going to be graves because you have chosen to move alone. So you will be killed by warriors, you will be killed by strangers, and you will become Atesin. Atesin. Iteso word comes from Ates, which is a grave.
Oh, okay.
You are going to be corpses. You are going to be corpses. So, but the Kumam then took their line coming towards Soroti. Meanwhile, the Langi went towards Acholi, and then the Iteso, some of them went towards Mbale and Kapchorwa. That is where we find now Kumi, Bukedia, and so on, joining Mbale. Meanwhile, Kumam followed the center, and they were saying, you people, you are going to suffer because you are going to walk a long distance. And that is why when they walked a long distance, they became tired. But they were walking together. As a Atekerin of the Karamojong, Langi, and Iteso. And now the Karamojong remained because they are now the elders. And now, nowadays, if you go to Karamoja, they will call us, they claim they are our uncles. Mamai. Ni Kumama, ni Teso, Uchenyo, because a chain is a nephew. A chain is a nephew. So they Teso call us Uchenyo because we left them and yet they were our elders. And so they are our uncles. So you will find that the Kumam have common characteristics and practices with both Langi and Iteso in respect with the rituals, like a birth ritual. You remember that we have birth ritual. And then, if you are interested, as you have said, we shall let you know practically what it means.
Yes, of course.
And then we also have certain social customs like marriage, and then we have dance, and then we have hunting. Those are our rituals.
Yes,
cultural rituals.
Yeah, so we will see that. But I have one
Those
question.
are practices.
Yeah, I have one question before we go to the practices.
Yes.
According to the history you've given me, the Kumam came from Ethiopia.
Yes.
Northeastern Ethiopia.
Northeastern Ethiopia,
Okay,
yes.
that's towards Addis Ababa or the other side.
Yeah, because what we are told is that as we started the journey, this ends of Ethiopia, I did my bit of research and we realized that the Kumam, Iteso, and the Karamojong started all the way from Goshen.
Okay.
From Goshen, when Joseph was leaving Egypt, and Joseph was now returning to their land in Israel. When they reached Ethiopia, Joseph had married an African woman. And that African woman is the mother of this group.
Of Kumam.
So when Joseph reached from his journey of Goshen, from Goshen to Ethiopia, he proceeded with the other children to Israel. But his younger wife, who was an African, then started the journey towards these ends.
Okay.
With this family, with these children. And this is where our origin. So which means the Iteso Kumam Langi the most original place of theirs is Goshen.
Okay.
That is in Egypt. I think so. I think Goshen can be found in Egypt.
I'm not sure.
To history.
I'm not sure. But maybe I need to ask you the tough question now.
Yes.
The Kumam, are they Luo or are they Ateker?
The Kumam are no longer Atekerin, because Atekerin, that was a joint name given to the three cultures. But basically, the way I see, Kumam is more of Luo than Iteso.
Okay.
The Kumam is more, because we, the Kumam, understand Luo much better than Ateso. You will find the Kumam not understanding Ateso completely. But when a Luo speaks, we can pick Alur when they speak. We can pick Dopadola when they speak. We can pick even the Luo of Kenya. During your campaigns, when people were quarreling, we used to laugh because we were picking them directly. And then we can pick even the Acholi. We can pick even the Langi very well. Langi are even our neighbors. And by the way, according to, as a priest, I am an Anglican Church of Uganda priest. And the Bible we have been using a Luo Bible. And we have been using a Luo prayer book. It is again me who picked up the initiative to translate the Bible from English, Luo, Ateso, and translate it in Kumam. The Bible which the Kumam are using now in Kumam was translated by me. And my
yeah, and so the biggest question that people have been asking me constantly is, are the Kumam Luo or Ateker? So the last
we are Luo. We are under Luo more than any other clan.
Okay.
That's what I understand.
So at what point did the Kumam start to adopt Luo? Because, okay, sorry, it's raining, so I think we have to go to some other place.
Yeah, okay.
So sorry, we took a break because it's raining and we have to get a safe place. But we're continuing. The Kumam came from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
But the history of the Luo has it that the Luo came from Barrel Gazelle in the modern days, South Sudan. So at what point did the Kumam meet the Luo? At what point did they start to associate more with the Luo than the Ateker?
The point at which the Kumam joined the Luo is when now the Kumam took their route towards Soroti from Karamoja. Although the Ites were roaming to other places of the eastern part, that is towards Kumi and so on, the Kumam came direct to Soroti, and then they met a lake called Lale, River Lale. There is a Lake Yoga branch, which is called Lale. They had to cross that river. And when they crossed that river from Soroti, they came towards Kumam land, now called Kabramaido. That is in Kalaki. And now they continued their journey. But because you remember, we say that as the Kumam chose to come towards Soroti and the Ites went the other side, the Langi went via Otuke, via Mount Otuke, and met their Choli who were coming from Sudan, southern Sudan. And now, when they met their Choli, they did not go anywhere, but they started the journey towards the east again. And now when they started their journey towards the east, they then met Kumam. And now when they met Kumam, there was intermarriage between these clans. And by the way, they even fought. Sometimes they used to fight in a struggle for how to settle or where to settle. But then intermarriage made them, that is why, because when the Kumam were coming this side, they had adapted some words in their dialect from Ateso. And now when they met the Langi and they intermarried with the Langi, they settled in Kabramaido here, because you know Kabramaido borders Lango. The district I was telling you, Amulata, is a bordering district between Kumam and the Langi. So those people met there, and then they settled, And the Langi also said, okay, there is a rock called Ochero Rock. That rock, those people agreed that we now settle here. The other side of the rock, the Langi settled there. And this side of the rock, the Kumam also settled here. But you can still follow from that rock and go up to Amolatar. On the left are the Kumam. On the right are the Kumam, are the Langi. So I would say the Kumam became much closer to the Langi because they didn't have any closer attachment with the Teso as much as they had with the Langi. And that's why they were now actually, I would say they were now adapted into the Langi culture more than the Teso culture. And that's why many things we do in our cultural practices are much more related to the Luo culture more than any other.
Okay. So Kumam are Luo not by blood but by association.
By association. By association.
Okay. And today we're making a statement that Kumam are Luo and not Ateker.
No, not Ateker. Kumam are the Kumam, and they are basically under Luo. They are connected to Luo more than any other.
In the Kumam region, the biggest town is Soroti, right?
No. Oh, okay. In the Kumam region now, yeah, the biggest town is Soroti because in Soroti, there are those names which were changed by the Bantu when they came here. Because Soroti is not originally Soroti. Soroti is called Sorot. So there was an old man in Soroti called a Solo. The man in that town where there is if you have known Soroti well, where they call the Independence Ground, there is towards the Lukiko Hall in Soroti town, a big tree, that kind of big tree, an old tree. That home was a home of a Kumam grandfather called a Solo. So a Solo, when they started making constructions around there, building a kind of court to listen to issues about the Kumam family and Kumam culture, they used to come and meet there where the Baganda or the Bantu called Boga, a Kibuga. That was a Kibuga of the Kumam in Soroti, but it was in the home of a Solo, and that tree is in one of his kraals. And so when they named that place, they used to say, one what year old, he caught a Solo. But then when the Bantu came, they don't know how to mention L. They say a Solo. Now, when they were saying that place should now be called Solot, the Bantu came and changed it to Solot. Okay. But that name comes from a name of a Kumam grandfather called a Solo, which makes the original name of Soroti being Solot. But then the Bantu, because they cannot mention L, they changed it to Soroti because they don't know the language. So Soroti basically is the central original town of the Kumam.
Okay.
Right from where the town is now, the city is now, up to Ahoja, that lake. Because that rock you see there, Opiai rock, Opiai, that rock is after a name of the Kumam. Opiai means that is where they had what they call Opi. Opi, I think the Luo know what Opi is.
P is water.
There is P, which is water, but the Luo word Opi means a servant.
Oh, okay.
Opi is a servant of the Lord.
Okay.
So there were many people who had laborers under that rock by breaking the rock. And they say that was the home of Opi, and it was called Opiai rock. And then there is also a rock just as you cross the Scots ground and you are coming towards the place called Amen. Amen, this old man called Esau who had a brother called Amen. And now there is a part in Solomon town called Amen. That is where the old man called Amen, the brother of Esau, settled. And those people, when they settled there, it was now their children who started crossing, because if the Lake Lale, River Lale is nearer that area, and they used to fish and cross this side, and they had to continue to meet the Lamin by crossing this side.
Okay. And you are in charge of culture?
I am in charge of culture right now from this new kingdom.
Okay. Could you tell me some of the culture of the Kumam? Some of the key practices, cultural practices?
Some of the key cultural practices we have here, one is marriage, traditional marriage. In our traditional marriage, there are many practices which are practiced culturally. And then we also have the birth, giving birth. Giving birth also goes with some cultural norms. If you are giving birth to one child, there is a way you are treated. But if you are giving birth to the twins, there is a way you are treated. They dance. We treat the twins very special.
Okay.
We sing for the twins, we dance for the twins, we celebrate for the twins. And then we also have a culture of hunting, because hunting in the Kumam culture was something which was organized especially, and the youth were trained, the male youth were trained specially on hunting, because majorly we depended, people in the Kumam culture depended on bush meat. And so, and we enjoyed bush meat. Even up to today, me, I enjoy bush meat more than white meat.
Yes, and okay.
So the elders could take the boys and the dogs which were tamed to hunt, and they go in a routine. They can say, we shall be going for hunting on Fridays. So on Friday in the morning, one of the elders blow a wooden whistle, I would call it.
What do you call it in Kumam?
A sauce.
A sauce, okay.
They would blow a sauce, and when that old man blows a sauce, all the people from the other areas of the place will know time has come for going to hunt.
Okay.
In the hunting, we shall be having our nets for netting the animal. We shall be having the spears. We shall be having the bows and arrows. We shall be having very big sticks. And the boys come and people move, and it is the elders commanding the boys in the hunting when they get an animal. So it was a very important practice.
Okay.
Then also, when it comes to a funeral, somebody has died, there is a way people behave. There was a law that somebody could not be buried unless other people, other elders have arrived.
Okay.
And there are specific hours for burial.
Which is?
That is from 9 to 4. When before 9, no burial, because they don't expect people to be mourning at this time, but they give time for the women, because women, when somebody has died, they first of all come out of the houses early in the morning and go to the graveyard, and they cry, they mourn for the dead. And then after they have finished and they have washed their eyes, then people can now begin to organize how to take somebody for burial. They are first of all given time to mourn in a special way. And then when it has reached that time, they say it becomes a taboo. If somebody by 4 o'clock is not yet buried, after 4 o'clock it is a taboo. And the Kumam would not allow a burial to take place. So those are the practices which we have in the Kumam culture.
Do you have polygamy in Kumam?
Polygamy was a practice which I would call a normal practice. And the Kumam were mostly polygamous, in that the reason they gave was that since they were herdsmen and they were agriculturists, they had plenty of food, plenty of cows, and sometimes they thought the people, one of my grandfathers said, I decided to marry these other women because I loved this first wife of mine very much. But I had overworked her because there's a lot of work in my home and only one person carrying out the burden of this work. So I just begged her, I said, let me bring someone to help you do the work. So the woman would also accept and say, fine, go and bring somebody to come and help us do the work. And that is what led to the marriage of the second wife. And if the work was much heavier, they still went to the third one. And then also, what led to polygamy, if there was barrenness in that marriage, majorly it was not a man, but it's a woman who asked her husband, said, Muzee, we have all the cows here. We have all the food in our home. There is no way we are going to stay in this home without a son. Now that we have discovered that I am not able to produce, I have allowed you to look for a younger woman. Look for a younger woman. Maybe, I think that one was adapted from the Abrahamic life with Sarah. Yeah. So they could ask their husband to bring another wife. And indeed, if they brought another wife and that woman started producing, this elder wife owned that woman, not as a co-wife, but as a daughter. And so the children produced by that woman would be managed by the elder wife. And they would be growing up, knowing her as the mother, and this one maybe as the aunt. So, due to barrenness, the Kumam also practiced polygamy, and this one was encouraged majorly by the first wives who were not able to produce.
And how was the problem dealt with if the man is the problem?
If the man was a problem, if he brought the second wife, and the second wife also did not produce, then they would try their best to use herbal drugs for treatment, because they knew that you cannot treat a woman, but a man was treated. And I am telling you, if it was, there are very few men became impotent because people knew the traditional herbal drugs for treating that problem.
Okay.
So to find out whether it is a man who has a problem or a woman, this man brought another woman, another wife.
The second wife doesn't get pregnant?
And if the second wife doesn't get pregnant, then the question mark comes, says, since it is you who has a problem, they will get on you with the treatment, serious treatment.
And the treatments work all the time?
They work.
Not just sometimes?
They work. In most cases, they work.
So why did they try the same treatment on the woman?
No, they didn't believe a woman would be important. They didn't believe that. Okay. They believed all women produced. But the problem was men. They didn't have this scientific understanding that a woman can also have a problem.
Okay. And what's the name of the cultural music or dances for your Kumam?
We have Mielobangi. Mielobangi is a dance which is practiced when a twin is born. And if you want, I can even try it for me. Nyalo bangi mambaleo, uri bangi mambaleo, nyalo bangi wano poyo kui, uri bangi wano uro, nyalo bangi wano uro, uri bangi uro, poyo bangi wano uro. That one, and when they are dancing, that one they don't play any instrument. They just dance with the bells, the dry bells.
How are the bells called?
The bells, achwiri.
Achwiri.
We are called.
Is it possible to to have people doing this maybe tomorrow?
Yes, yes, I have already set people, they are mobilizing.
Okay,
we are going to have that team. You are going to see.
Okay, I'll be happy to be able
Then the second one is a koso. A koso is a folk song. And this one is sung according to the situation. When there is a famine, they can sing and dance. And this was led by one of the elders called Ogura. And if they danced for the rain, it would rain. So a koso, which is a folk song, like when there is a koso which they say that cage, you know cage, I think.
Yes, hunger.
When the cage is there, they can dance, and then they mention the cage. That one is a folk song called a koso. Then there is a major one which you will see tomorrow. Miel bull.
Miel bull.
Miel bull.
Bull is
a drum.
Okay.
The one for us, we have a big drum and then other small ones. So you will find it is a man playing the small ones and it is a woman who is beating the big one. And she will be beating it according to the tune of our dancing when we are dancing.
I would really love to
you will see it. It is very interesting.
Okay.
So those are the kind of dances that we had as the Kumam.
Yes, I think we're done. Thank you so much, and click subscribe and wait for the Kumam cultural dance.
You will see
Thank you so much. And
you will see it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Wish you well, our listeners and our viewers.
Okay.
Reverend Elijah again, Minister of Culture, Ethics and Integrity in the Kumam Cultural Heritage.
How do you say thank you in Kumam?
Apoyo.
Apoyo.
Apoyo tek.
Apoyo tek or
Apoyo tek.
twatwar?
Apoyo twatwal, apoyo tek, apoyo adikinichel. That one now, from the bottom of the heart, apoyo adikinichel.
Yeah, and anyway, I said bye-bye, but let's have this. In Kumam, when I count, how do you say one?
Yes. And then?
How do you say one?
Okay.
Achel?
Achel, are, adek, omwon, kany.
So where does this kany come from?
Kany comes now from the Ateso dialect. That's why I was telling you, as we left Ateso, there were words which we shared with Ateso as Atekerin. And so, counting from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and even 10 is Ateso. But from 1 to 5, that is Luo. Achel, Are, Adek, Omon, Kany. Kanyape. Ipe in Karamojong means 1.
Okay.
So this is a 5 plus 1. 5 plus 2, Kanyare. 5 plus 3, Kanyauni. 5 plus 4, Kanyangon. 5 plus 5, Tomon. Tomon is 10 in Ateso and also in Karamojong. And because the Kumam and the Ateso and the Karamojong were Atekerin, we shared those words.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. My name is Kogot Peter, Ambassador, Eastern Central Africa, and I'm here with the Kumam.
Thank you.
And bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.